I don't mind the old living mural thing. Basically, just I'm just rather worried about if there was four calling birds, three French hens, and two turtle doves, that it might leave and a partridge in a pear tree, that it might leave an awful lot of bird poo over the place. Basically, yes. Well, anyway, just do this and then we'll sort it out again. Hello, I'm so sorry about that. So, welcome to another episode of Ask God. It's very nice to be. Do trust that you're all well. We're just discussing the living mural thing we're doing for our Advent um, thing, basically, in the hallway uh, where the marble arches are, basically, as you come into Bliss HQ. They're doing basically a version of the 12 Days of Christmas. And I don't mind the Lords of Leaping and all that sort of thing. But when it comes to the four corning birds, three French and two turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree, I'm rather concerned that there might be an awful lot of bird poo around, basically, and detritus around the place. And because it can get, a bit whiffy, and then there's the logistics of cleaning it all, isn't there? And I don't think you'd want to do it, would you? No, I don't think so. No. So, there we go. Anyway, so we'll discuss that later with them. So, as I say, welcome to Ask God. And yes, guess what? Before we start, yes, I've got another message from Janice from marketing. Basically, she's talking about the new incentive that we got for this Advent. And at the moment, we're also offering a set of wings, basically. So, yes, I know I've got to read the blessed tagline again, haven't I? Here we go. So I'll just read it to you. It says, "Wings from the King." So if you want the bling, come join the king. That's me, apparently. Because up here in Bliss, we're offering wings. So there we go. So if you want the bling, come join the king. Because up here in Bliss, we're offering wings. So, yeah, there we go. That's that, basically. So if you sign up for Bliss at the moment, for when you pass through from your mortal realm, then you get a free set of wings. Although I am reassured we're not playing up to stereotypes. But we are, aren't we? Basically, it's this focus group, in short. The focus group that Janice employed to look at things and focus their attention on things, basically come up with a lot of these incentives. It's not just Janice. And so his focus group has basically said that people want wings, so we're doing wings. They are looking up to stereotypes, really, aren't they? Well, they are. Well, well, we've done the harps, we've done the gowns, we've done the halos and all that, and to me it feels like we're just giving them what they perceive of heaven already. Basically, we rebranded to Bliss, I should say, and so we're trying to get away from the old image and trying to progress with a new image. But if we keep getting these sort of stuff from the focus group, I think we'll have to get another focus group in, if you know what I mean, because at the moment we are playing up the stereotypes and the old image. We're supposed to be modern with Bliss, Yeah, absolutely. So there we go. Obviously, we've got the other incentive in Advent at the moment as well, where if you send in a question and you add your real name to the question, so we know who we're talking to, then you can get yourself one of these Merry Blissmas mug things. We call, well, the campaign's Merry Blissmas, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. The campaign's Merry Blissmas, but you can win yourself a mug that says "Merry Christmas from all at Bliss HQ." Basically, if you send in your question and we read it out. But like I say, I want you to send in your real names, not these joke names that we've been having quite a lot of recently, I hasten to add. So there we go. And then also, and this was a result of the focus group as well. This wasn't so much Janice, but the focus group. We've been looking at employee engagement and retention, basically. So, in short, yes, there have been a couple of comings and goings recently, isn't there? Yeah. Well, that one of the wings went to Toby, didn't they? Then we moved over to be with Toby. Toby's who you would call the devil, basically. He's not the devil, but he's the nearest equivalent. Yeah, and Toby's down in the basement. So one of them defected down to the basement with Toby, and then there's another one went along to a couple of doors down, Nirvana, as they now call themselves. It was Nirvana. They've rebranded as well, trying to get modern and all that. So we've had a couple of defectors recently. Yeah. Well, I'm not worried, but anyway, we've done this employee engagement and retention thing. So we've got to actively listen to our employees and make them feel heard. They should be able to express themselves creatively and all that sort of stuff, which I encourage anyway. We have a great deal of creativity up here in Bliss, I think. And I can't understand why they're so hot on this engagement and retention thing, because I know everyone personally, don't I? And you mean I know you? I've known you for a long time, haven't I? Yeah, of course I have. Yeah, there you go. What? Well, it's Ruby, isn't it? Oh, it's not Ruby. Well, Trudy. Yeah, because there's Ruby, Trudy, Wayne, and Bob. They're the four ones who helped me out with this humble show. Oh, I'm ever so sorry. So you're Trudy, right? So well, I nearly got it right. I just missed off the T and inverted the B basically, didn't I? The D incidentally. So well, I'm ever so sorry. One moment. I'm just going to refer to the handbook. Where are we? So, yes, I do value you and what you bring to the team. I hear you, and I'm actively listening to your valued input. And of course, I'm not reciting from the handbook, but there we go. It was a bit of a faux pas. It's Trudy, not Ruby. There we go. I think I'll upset the wings now. When I talk about the wings, that's my name for the angels and helpers that are around here, basically. Anyway, moving swiftly on before I start thinking other things. Our first question is from Kirk Douglas. Kirk Douglas, that sounds familiar. Kirk Douglas? Why does that sound familiar? Oh, I know why. It's that actor. It was Kirk Douglas, wasn't it? There was Kirk Douglas, the actor. You must know Kirk Douglas. He was in all those films. You know, like Spartacus and El Cid, if I remember rightly. Was that Chuck Heston? I can't remember. No, he did a good few films anyway. Kirk Douglas, you know, he's the father of Michael Douglas and the other Douglases, like Emilio Estevez and people like that, isn't he? So there we go. So Kurt, anyway, he mentions, well, asks, I should say, what does it mean when the Bible mentions that we should receive the kingdom of God like a child? Well, that's an interesting question. I think a lot of people are perplexed by that, aren't they? So basically, you know, when well, there's two analogies I can use really. So the first one would be, you know, when you give a young child of about 5 or 6 like a big box as a present, and they want to know what's inside, don't they? So you kind of wonder, oh, what's in there? And there's all the expectation of what's in the box that the present is. What's in there? What is the gift? What is it bearing? And so you think, oh, I wonder what's in there, and you start thinking, don't you? And you get all creative. Oh, I wonder if it's, you know, the baseball that I've been wanting, or maybe it's you know, that fort that I could put my cowboys and Indians in and stuff like that. Mind you, I'm going back a bit there. You probably have more modern toys now, don't they? Well, you do down there, don't they? Yeah, like these megamorphs or something like that. Transformicrons or something. I don't know. Transformers, something like that. Anyway, and these power runners or something. Power runners? No, Power Rangers apparently. Anyway, so you know, you might have a big, you know, power runner helmet in the box or something like that. Anyway, the point I'm getting to is that, you know, you got to perceive what's inside, haven't you? And sometimes you have trouble perceiving it. But if you're a young child, you're very curious and you want to know. Oh, and you rattle it and shake it, don't you? And then I'll use the other analogy, and they'll come together. You see. So the next analogy is basically, think of the thing that you treasure the most, or enjoy the most, I should say. And now imagine it was taken away from you, and then you find yourself hunting around trying to find it, wouldn't you? And thinking, oh, what can I do to replace that feeling of enjoyment? And nothing does it until you actually are giving it back. So say, for example, you cherish spending time with your family, and that was taken away from you. When you did get that back and you have to see your family, you think, overjoyed, and you have all that excitement and expectation there, wouldn't you? So when you bring the two together, it's a bit like taking a guess at what's there, but not knowing what's there, and being excited about it, basically. So a child can be rather feverishly excited, can't they? And it's like giving them what they've already got, but they just don't realise it's missing. And so we perceive it from a child's point of view, and that's the best way to describe receiving the kingdom of God. You may seem confused. I know I did elaborate a bit too much there, but that's, I'm trying to get it across. That's what it means by receiving it like a child, basically. Anyway, moving on. Hope Spring's eternal. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, I don't think it's a joke. Damn, I'll go with it. So Hope asks, my husband keeps saying that he will fix things, but they never get done. Why? Well, basically, Hope is because it's a bloke thing, really. You find a lot of men, especially those who are busy with their 9 to 5 day jobs and other jobs, things like that. If they're busy in the daytime, they they're busy, and when they come home, the last thing they want really is to crack on with a bit of DIY in that, basically. So that's why. But needless to say, if you were to actually get someone else to do it and pay for this person to do it, then he'd probably realise the cost of all these things, and then next thing you know, he'd be all over the place fixing, beds, headboards, wooden cabinets and doors and nailing things down a bit, all over the place. And so, sometimes, nagging doesn't work, does it? So maybe if you've got someone to do it, then you realise it's costing. And then when it starts costing him, you'll think, oh, yeah, I better jump into action. So there we go, Hope. Maybe that's hope helpful for you. I hope, basically. Hope. So I hope. Yeah. Sound like a goose or something, don't I? Anyway, next we have a question from Sherilyn Chrysler. No brand name placings there at all, obviously. But yeah, Sherilyn, she got this message, and we found it rather interesting, didn't we? Yeah, I thought so. Something that we do get from time to time, and but people have never sort of hit the nail on the head, and so we felt that Sherilyn had. And Sherilyn asks, can people who are living, like in your realm, or mortal realm, can they talk with the departed? Well, Sherilyn, basically, there is a great mixture of things here. Because there's those who really do believe that they are talking to the departed up here in Old Bliss or Nirvana or wherever they choose to go, and then there's those who are just sort of fooling people, aren't there? And then there's those who just fool themselves as well by believing that they are talking to someone, but they're not really, just talking to themselves. So there we go. However, we do have this rule in this, as you know. We got just a very short set of rules. And the fourth one is no more hauntings in Connecticut. Well, that's right, because it was scaring people too much, wasn't it? That's right. It was scaring people. Do laddie, basically. They're getting the jeepers creepers in them. And because when you're up here, I mean, I'm inhabiting this form at the minute, but most of the time we don't. We have this other form that we have, like our raw self, the soul or spirit, whatever you want to call it. So from time to time, people do sort of escape the net, so to speak, and it frightens them, basically. And there's not many people could actually do it as well. That is talking to the departed, basically. Not many people can do it because, as I say, most of the time they're just fooling themselves or trying to fool someone else. Basically, there's a lot of that, an awful lot of that, I tell you. Really gets my goat, really. All that reminds me, don't forget to untie the goat so it can go around the garden and get a bit of a chew, yeah, for the cud and whatever it is. Well, you know what I mean. Anyway, sorry, I do digress. So, yeah, there are other dimensions, and we exist in all these dimensions at once. The way you guys down there perceive it, you try to contain life, really, by defining it, and you can't really define it, strictly speaking. You exist in all these different dimensions all at once, and so from your POV or point of view, you can only experience the one or two, possibly. The more spiritual of you may perceive the other dimensions. It's quite possible. Yeah, there's been a few, hasn't it? Yeah, past. Yeah. And then, like I say, there's a lot of people just fooling themselves and trying to fool other people by thinking that they can talk to the departed, basically. Also, it might interest you to know that, yes, in the Old Testament, there is an incident where someone is communicating to the departed, basically. So it was Saul, wasn't it? Yeah, it was King Saul. That's right, the first king of Israel, basically. He was in a bit of a predicament, and he went to this woman who lived in a place called Endor, and she was known colloquially as a witch, basically. And he asked this witch of Endor to summon the spirit of Samuel, who was a great prophet, who sort of died in Saul's early lifetime. And so this witch does summon the spirit of Samuel, and Samuel says, "Why have you disturbed me?" basically. And because I was having a bit of a kip, enjoying me nap and rest in Old Bliss, And Samuel is a nice chap, isn't he? Yeah, I know. Anyway, that's beside the point. So you know, we don't encourage it because you see up here in our dimensions and in Bliss and things like that, we sort of are devoid of time. Time has no real meaning for us. We're both past and future and present all at the same time. You know, we potentially we can see everything because we're in a state where time doesn't matter to us. So potentially you can see the future and stuff like that. So it sort of spoils the surprises a bit on odd occasions, wouldn't it? And so we don't encourage people going down there. And like I said before, if people do go down there, they tend to frighten them to pieces, basically. So we discourage it. But now and again, so you get the odd people who just sort of nip out and want to be a bit nosy and you know, check up on their family and stuff like that. But we don't encourage it. And as for Ouija boards, don't get me started. Oh yeah, don't get me started with the Ouija boards. They're a load of old nonsense. They really are. Really a load of old nonsense. You're not doing anything at all. It's you lot doing it. You're just sort of, you know, conforming to this thing moving around on a board. There's nothing there. It's not supernatural at all. It's just a load of tosh. It really is. That Darren Brown, is it Darren? Darren Brown? Darren Brown. He's rather good at pointing those sort of things out, basically. And he you know, he's right in a sense that Ouija boards are just a load of old tosh. You know, they really are. Nothing to be frightened of with them because it's you lot just making your minds go mad about these things. Anyway, so I hope that answers your question. Basically, you know, you're not supposed to talk to the dead as you would perceive them. They're not dead; they're just migrated, haven't they? And people can converse with them, but we don't encourage it. And you know, up here, we're not allowed to go down there and talk to you lot. In fact, the only time anyone really comes down here is when it's either a version of myself or one of the wings, basically. And they have the disclaimer type thing. Disclaimer is the best word to name it, really, I think, isn't it? Yeah. Well, so this disclaimer thing where you say, "Do not be afraid." Well, and then you carry on a bit, don't you? And so if you want to know if it's one of us lot, one of the wings, or a version of myself, then you would know it was us quite clearly, because you have the disclaimer message thing that we have to say before anything, which is do not be afraid, because quite frankly it can be a tad frightening when you see us in our raw form, basically. And some people class it as magnificent, other people class it as a bit scary, really. And some people are just in awe of it and they just sort of faint down on the floor, you know. And there's examples in history of when it's happened, actually. So basically that's it. You're not supposed to talk to us, and we're not supposed to talk to you unless, you know, it's like me now talking to you lot through, you know, the Ask God program or something like that. And so it's not allowed, it's frowned upon, and that's why we have the fourth rule: no more hauntings in Connecticut. Anyway, I do fear. Oh, actually, we've gone slightly over today, haven't we? Been a bit generous with the time today. Yes, we got the other promotions. We got the dual soul discount. We got the gowns with that. We got the blessometers. We got peace, eternity, grace, and salvation, as always. We've got the soul cleansing for spiritual ablution. We've got the solution soul cleansing, gets rid of guilt without leaving any nasty stains. Yeah, we've been over that before. There's no nasty stains with sin, is there? There's any nasty stains at all. We don't need any sort of, you know, product placed brand names. Bland names might be a better name for it, actually. Anyway, so there we go. So don't forget to send in your questions to Ask God. Don't forget to like our Facebook page, which is simply Ask God. The tagline for Facebook is God at Bliss HQ. Don't forget to like our YouTube channel. You can send your questions in by email, fax, text message, phone, prayer. We like hearing the odd prayer. And until next time, cheerio. God bless. Peace be with you. Bye for now. So now about these chickens and things. What was it? The turtle doves and the French hens. Yeah. Well, like I say, I'm rather concerned. 1 second. I'm rather